Of the WrestleWatch podcast. I am Ryan.
I'm Doug.
Uh,
Welcome back, everyone.
yeah, welcome back. Yeah, we took a week off there. There wasn't a lot to talk about last week with it. Honestly, we haven't had a lot of changes to our free agency tracker this week either, as far as talent are concerned. But we thought, it's good to see what's going on with the tier list, if there's anybody that we wanted to do a quick chat about.
Yeah, and I think that there is. I think there's some things going on that I want to talk about that aren't really specific to specific talent,
Mhm.
but there are some larger points and larger observations that I think are worth making, especially as we kind of reached, as we said, we've sort of reached the lull period. WrestleMania is over, and I know that's one of those big contract seasons where a lot of people will come due right around there or get released right around there. And we already saw the releases. We already saw a lot of people resign. So because of that, you know, this is sort of the slow period in terms of contracts. There's, sorry, there has been a few things though to talk about.
Yeah, so how about we just start with just looking over where we are at with the free agency tracker as it stands right now. Here it is on your screen. We did one change to the free agency tracker since you've last been with us. We decided to change the wording that we use for all of our various tiers here. It was suggested by people in the audience that it wasn't super clear, especially due to we have a lot of independent talent, and we were saying they're safely staying independent, and it was a little bit confusing for some people. So based on that feedback, we've changed the wording so that it's just one word, and the context behind the word is about the likelihood of signing to a new promotion. So up at the top we have our certain tier. These are people that we certainly think are going to be signing to a new promotion imminently, and waiting for debut. The two people there right now are Hikuleo, who is allegedly signed to WWE, is the best way we can phrase it. He's been reportedly signed for forever, it seems. And Tekla, who has been teased out multiple times now, starting a few weeks ago at the Dynamite in Detroit. They had a little spider coming up from the corner of the screen. They repeated that the next day on another women's match on Collision. Following next week, they did it for a women's match, and then for a men's match, they had the spider go all the way down the entire screen. I don't know if you saw that, Doug, because you were there live
No,
for
no.
those episodes.
I saw last week. I did not see. I saw on TV. The week before is when I saw live. So I did see the one where it was in the John Moxley the trios match where it went down the screen. I did see
Yeah,
that.
yeah. So yeah, it's been very obviously teased for people who are in the know about who Tekla is, and her gimmick as her nickname Toxic Spider. So it's apparent who they are teasing. I have my theories of how they will use her and how they will bring her in and all those kinds of things, but I think that it seems like it's been a good time for how they've been handling the women's scene in AEW. So I think that they'll figure out a good place to place her.
Yeah, and that's going to be one of the things I want to talk about later as well. So that'll be a good segue into that when we get there.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
Next, I'll go with the likely tier. So this is the tier where we think someone is likely to jump. So they're not certain, but they're right under it. So they're likely. And right now, they only have one person in that, and that would be the one Best of the Super Juniors competitor, Ninja Mac, friend of the show.
Yeah, Ninja Mac, who has been he's become viral, it seems, through his antics and abilities there in the Best of the Super Juniors tournament.
Yeah, I mean, if you, I'll say this, if you haven't been watching the tournament, but you still keep an eye on the world of professional wrestling. If you saw anything from Best of the Super Juniors, you probably saw some of the Ninja Mac clips because those are the ones that have been popping off.
It was on Sports Center even.
Oh, I didn't even see that.
Yeah. So that is our likely tier. The reason why we have Ninja Mac there, relatively speaking, to being a probable jump or a certain jump, is that well, he's been used by New Japan a few times now in the Best of the Super Juniors in the World Tag League. New Japan does have a need for some new fresh blood in the light heavyweight division there, the junior heavyweight division. and as well as that he was formerly a member of the Noah roster and he left that promotion. So there were a lot of things going in the direction of the possibility of Ninja Mac having a full-time deal with New Japan in the future.
Yeah, I mean, we've had him on the tier list for a long time. I know a lot of people have kind of, looked at that and thought that maybe there's nothing going on there, nothing's going to change. But I'm pretty happy that we've left him on as long as we have, and I think we're going to be proven right by that eventually. But we'll see.
Yeah, let me look quickly at how long we've had Ninja Mac on our tier list by using our tracker here. We've had him for 280 days so it hasn't been a full year yet, which is still good for our judgment system. We try to make it as a 1 year window to see when somebody will jump. There's only one name. No, there are two names on our tier list right now that are over a year of being on the tier list. So I think that we have a pretty good track record. And looking at the people that were formerly tracked on our tier list, the same kind of story. We've only had one person or two people ever last for over. Yeah, we've only had two people last for over a year. Do you have any guesses who those two people are who lasted for over a year?
And they're not on it anymore.
They're not on it anymore. As I'm seeing now, it's actually three. There is a tag team, a women's wrestler, and a men's wrestler who lasted over a year.
I'm gonna say Mercedes Moné,
No, that is not one of them.
Becky Lynch.
Yes.
Okay. Monet had to be close because she was on there forever. A tag team.
Monet was 272, so around the time that Ninja Mac has been on the tier list, and
Okay.
for the last 3 months of Monet's, it was we knew, but we couldn't take her off yet because she hadn't debuted, and she had such a back and forth saga, so
Yeah.
it seemed prudent.
Let's see, for a tag team. I'm gonna say it's the Motor City Machine Guns.
No. This is one that's probably gonna confuse you.
All right, go ahead.
Grizzled Young Veterans.
You know, they were. That was gonna be the other one I was gonna say because
Yeah.
they were on there for a long time too.
And then a singular man.
Another man. I'm tempted to say Hikuleo.
No, he's been on since let's see how I can find him on our tracker. He is over a year actually. He is at 399 days. So
Okay.
yeah.
Is it Drew?
No, it is somebody that signed who jumped to WWE.
Mal Black, Alistair Black.
Now it is Ricky Starks.
Oh yeah, that
Or
makes sense.
Stroke-
Ricky's been
Stroke
he's
Daddy.
he's basically the poster boy for Wrestle Watch. We were on Stark's watch from the beginning.
And yeah, so there are three people on the tier list currently that have been over a year now. It's Hikuleo at 399 days. Utami Hayashishita and Sari are the other two. Which Sari is finally getting some heat to it. Utami, it's I think that maybe we thought there was more going on with the pipeline to WWE from Marigold than there is.
I think I've been voting to remove her in the past. But I don't want to say that because then I also already said it, but it's like I don't know that
We can roll the tape at some point.
yeah,
sure.
you could roll the tape, but I feel like I've probably voted to remove her at some point. But Suri is one where I think is absolutely valid to keep her on, and
She
has been. But at the same time, we don't know where she's going. We don't know if she's going anywhere.
Yeah, she is the she is the best women's wrestler in the world, I think, and she's the best freelance wrestler in the world. So I don't think that it's imprudent to keep her on the tier list. Whereas Utami, yeah, she is signed to a promotion, so makes that there's one additional hurdle there.
Miyu feels like the unhoused woman of the free agency tracker out of all of them, just because it feels like even though she's part of the Tokyo Joshi Pro, it doesn't feel like she's part of Tokyo Joshi Pro anymore.
We'll talk about her once we get down to the possible tier there. We have probable
Yeah,
next.
we're getting ahead of ourselves. All right.
Yeah, we have probable jump next, which is still leaning towards the person leaving their current promotion and signing to a new one. But it's just not not quite likely. It just, probably going to happen.
Yeah.
So we have B Priestley, who has shown up at New Japan Strong, but we still don't know if that means that she is going the freelance route. The kind of West World Class Wrecking Crew, formerly West Coast Wrecking Crew kind of route, where they have all these partners that are pretty much freelancers but are in the U.S.
Mhm.
So that's why B Priestley is there. It's possible that she'll end up in Stardom or AEW still, I think. But I think that that's why we have her as a probable. We have Joe Hendry, who his contract is ending this year with TNA, and it is obvious that WWE wants him. I think probable is a good place for him because I don't think that it's too far away for us to know whether or not it is fully likely. We have Riho, the women's wrestler from the British indie scene, who did a tryout with WWE and has had some rumoring of leaving her home there in the UK. We have Alex Windsor, who has been going up and down our tier list for a while. With her, the story is recently Will Ospreay in a little clip with I think it was the Sun as prep as a promotional for Forbidden Door coming to London. He mentioned that she is just essentially a visa check away from signing with AEW. And then Dakota Kai is our final one up there, who has had plenty of rumors about her possibly going to AEW once her 90 days are up with WWE. Any thoughts on those probable ones there?
Not entirely. I do suspect that Dakota Kai will be popping up in AEW soon, just based off of what we've been hearing. B Priestley, I think, is someone who I think she's someone who wants to stay independent for a while and just kind of reintroduce B Priestley.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't have a lot to add on the other three, so I think we're good on the probable.
Uh,
So why don't we move
mhm.
to the largest, well, set tied for the largest section, the toss up. Now we have Bishop Dyer, the former Baron Corbin, who really I feel like hasn't done much the last couple months. I feel like we haven't heard a ton. Every now and then you hear about him popping up on like some NWA show or something like that, but or being potentially booked for those. But I haven't heard anything on him in a long time.
I agree. I think he appeared at the Maple Leaf Pro as well. So it seems like he's just going around to the mid majors, as it were.
Yeah.
But I don't think that I'm not so confident on his likelihood of signing a long term deal with someone.
No. Cedric Alexander's the next one who recently, you know, teased out saying that he hurts people uh in a social media post implying that, maybe he'll join the Hurt Syndicate. But a lot of people pointed out that usually when someone does that, that's a sign that they're probably not going there. Otherwise, why would he tease that? So to me, it's interesting to say the least. But we'll see.
Yeah, I don't have nothing else to add there with Cedric Alexander now.
Yep. And then we have Zosiah, who has been we've been hearing rumblings on him because there's apparently been a lot of interest from WWE side in bringing him in. Um, he currently, well, what has he been? He doesn't have any belts or anything at the moment, right?
No, he doesn't. No.
Yeah, so that could
There's
happen.
Yeah, there was a thing that they're allegedly they've signed. There's reports that WWE has signed him, but that he won't be able to sign until the fall. So it's kind of conflicting in the same report. There were also two people from the continent, also the continental in European wrestling scene, that were allegedly signed, who have now dropped a belt in WXW, allegedly for being injured, but um, yeah, I think we're at the point where we're about to find out about the signings for from those tryouts that they did.
Yeah. Next is Danhausen, the perpetual. How long has he been on this list?
I will let you know in 1 second.
Yeah, because Danhausen is another one who we seem to talk about constantly jumping left and right all the time. He never really has. He'll pop up on a random indie here and there lately. Um, and then he was on the Ring of Honor show. When was that? Maybe like 4 months ago at this point.
Yeah, I'm slightly off on my whole who's been there for over a year. He's at 371 days.
Yeah, he's another one who's been on there a while. And I mean, it's listen, it's clear that he isn't everyone's favorite in the company. Um, but they seem to be using him while they have him. And then I I don't know what his prospects are outside of AEW. I really like. Do you see current AEW or current WWE bringing him in
Yes, WWE, absolutely.
for what?
Uh, to put him in NXT to sell merchandise and make money.
Maybe NXT, but do you think in this current environment would they throw him on TNA or throw him in Evolve even? Like, I mean, do they? Maybe not Evolve,
No,
but
they would put him on NXT and have him do appearances on TNA because they want to make money off of his character and have another person that CM Punk can feel happy about.
yeah. I mean, that's the thing. It's like he's obviously friends with Punk, but it's also one of those things where I just feel like maybe I mean, once again, it could just be me, but it feels like his shtick is really run cold. And I don't know. And maybe they don't realize that or don't think that, and maybe I'm wrong, but I don't we'll see what happens with him, but I don't necessarily think he's necessarily going to have the viral pop that he typically had before. We'll see. All right. So
Yeah.
next we have Mariah May. Now, Mariah May is probably the most interesting person on the tier list right now on the tracker. Is that fair?
Um, Let me look up and down, and I will get back to you.
Okay. I will go out on a limb and I will say that she is the most interesting person on the tracker because I think that she is the most genuine toss up. I think that she is the one where we potentially have a genuine bidding war going on. Um, but it's also one where I don't know if it's a fabricated bidding war on Mariah's part, where she is trying to build up this idea of a bidding war in order to generate interest on both sides. But I do know a couple things, and I've talked about this before. But Mariah, there was a report that Mariah, there was a report on Mariah, I should say, that someone within AEW believed that she was leaving and going to WWE. Having said that, there's also reports that both companies wanted to retain her. I've said before that whenever I see in the past, whenever I see a report that someone within AEW believes that that person is leaving, that usually happens. I don't think I've ever seen a situation where that hasn't happened. So that's a report. That's a little thing that I always try to look for because I think it's an interesting tell. And they had it on her. So I still am leaning, even though she's the toss up, and I think she absolutely can go either way. I'm leaning that she might jump. I think that's if I had to pick which direction, like gun to my head, I'm thinking she's jumping. But she is a genuine toss up because do I think that WWE is going to outbid AEW for her financially? I don't. I think AEW will pay more, um, especially in this climate. With it seems WWE has gone back to making the cuts that need to be made that they want to make. They've gone back to trying to come up with ways to limit the amount of money they're spending on talent. I think a lot of that has to do with just trying to keep the labor budget down for the quarterly earnings. Uh, but I still think that Mariah might be one that's jumping. And frankly, hey, they cut a bunch of people, so that probably does make some room in their salary cap, so to speak.
Yeah, so with Mariah, and I just put up a poll here in the live chat if you guys want to leave a vote there of where do you think Mariah May will be by the end of the year, AEW, WWE, somewhere else, or just hanging out at home. Um, we have Luke here in the chat. First off, he mentions that Danhausen screams as an NXT gimmick. Uh, And then we have him also mentioning Mariah is the most interesting to me. If she got everyone talking about her during Mania week and ends up going back to AEW, all timer marketing move. Yeah, I think that when I'm looking up and down the tier list, I think there is maybe one or two names that approach the interest that I have with Mariah May. I think Hikuleo is one of those, but might not be for the same reason. um,
Yeah.
uh, so um, I think that we're looking at a very different look in both the AEW and WWE of how they're dealing with their women's divisions. And I'm seeing a lot of momentum in AEW about the women's division, about the women's usage. Um, and I think that Mariah could have a lot of space to do interesting things in AEW if she wanted to stay there. Um, I think that there is more for her to do in AEW than some people give credit to. Because I think some people think that just because she had that one storyline, that's it. But the thing is that like the way that they ended that storyline, she could leave, and nobody would have any ill thoughts about how her time in AEW went. I think.
Mhm.
Um, with WWE, I think that she needs to not be put on NXT. That is the one demand that she should make. And if she gets put on NXT, she should stay in AEW. Because like she's better than pretty much. I would say there's maybe two or three main roster. I would say okay, let's say three or four main roster women that are not. I would say at least as good as her.
Yeah.
Um, Although that number is changing every day because they are rating NXT's women's division because they released so many people on the main roster of women. Which I don't agree with how they're doing that. Like this coming weekend, I think that there's a there's a match between Stephanie Vacor and Jordan Grace at the NXT show, and people are rumoring that it will be a loser leaves NXT essentially kind of situation, like a soft kind of thing where whoever loses will go to main roster. And I think that that is a terrible choice with how the NXT roster is looking right now. I think that they need people like that. I think that if they raid everybody, then it's a problem. And I don't think that that's Mariah May's problem to solve.
You know,
Um,
that's accurate, but I'll also say this. I don't if I had to guess if she jumps, I'm more likely to say she's going to go to NXT. And I look at Ricky Saints,
the Stroke
and
Daddy.
yeah, who I'm who he's one where I was baffled that he went to NXT. And he seems like he does not belong in NXT. He does not. I'm sorry.
Uh,
Like, say what you will about Ricky Starks, Ricky Saints, how you feel about him. He's so talented. The only thing he's got going against him, he's kind of a smaller guy,
I,
and
I would say the thing that's going against him is his mic skills because I don't think that he's actually as good as people say he is on
I
the
think he's.
mic.
I okay. Would you say you take every single person in WWE right now? Would you
Yeah,
say he's in the upper half at least?
he's in the upper half, but he's not. He would get eaten alive if he did an actual promo battle with like Punk or Drew or Seth Rollins right
To
now.
be fair, and I guess
Roman Reigns or
we
anybody
we
like that.
and we did. To be fair, we did see that
Yeah, we already
already.
saw that. We've already
We
seen
saw
that.
that we saw that with Adam Copeland.
Yeah, with Jericho, with Punk too. Like he's done it with all those people, and he did not do well because his style is. It doesn't seem like he actually has a script at all, and so he's just like rambling, but he doesn't have the skills to improv.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I feel like that's more of and it's sad because it's like that's a WWE promo cadence issue,
Yeah,
and those promos that he was doing in AEW that he flopped were WWE style promos,
yeah,
where it's just like you talk, then I talk, you talk, then I talk. And AEW will do those every now and then. But I feel like AEW has always been at its strongest when it's usually with an interviewer and the person, or just like a backstage thing. And when they do those back and forth promos, like the Hangman Osprey one this week,
Hmm.
which a lot of people really praised, and I loved it too. I thought it was great, but it was very much a typical WWE style back and forth promo that they have popularized for decades.
So,
And yeah,
just wanted to get some questions and things from chat here. We had one person who was asked now. Let me count it. One, two, three, four, five times. Will Vince return to WWE?
no,
Okay. The answer is no.
yes,
He's not returning to WWE.
no.
SmackDown Women's Division is actually not doing too bad currently. Luke, I agree with that. The reason partially because of that is because they have um, they have pushed up some people from NXT as one factor, and the second factor is that they have Chelsea Green, who they are not wanting to push because of fear of that. There is this is my favorite. This is my favorite conspiracy theory out there right now. So, Money in the Bank coming up. They had a qualifier match for it, and Chelsea Green is not going into the Money in the Bank ladder match, right?
Yes.
The big rumor of who's going to win Money in the Bank is Rhea Ripley.
Okay.
The theory is that they don't have Chelsea in the match because she would have so much of a babyface surge from the crowd that they would boo Rhea winning.
You know, yeah.
Yeah,
You know what though? I think that that's a valid. And that's the thing. I'm not someone who watches the show weekly.
I don't
I'm not
either, but
watching SmackDown, but I pay attention. I know
yeah,
what's catching on. And yeah, I think that there's a very real risk with that, especially with the current fan base.
yeah,
I mean, and it's funny because WWE used to be for the longest time, I would say since at least the pandemic, the company that doesn't have the crowd turn on what you're doing. I don't know that that's necessarily going to be the case much longer.
I think that kind of philosophy, and I think that overall in time that they've been a babyface heavy promotion. I think that the only time that they weren't really the babyface is the thing that everybody is cheering for is like late '90s because Austin wasn't exactly a babyface per se.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean he was, but he was a tweener, you know. Um,
Yeah.
so I think that it wasn't until the late teens when like Roman was being shoved down people's throats that they like the crowd just rejected baby faces in WWE.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a sign of that it just wasn't working for the crowd anymore. That was like that's possibly like the biggest indicator of like yeah, like it was time for alternatives to sprout up. Maybe it was time for Vince to leave and all those kinds of things. Um, and now it seems like that's happening again
Right.
in
Well,
WWE.
but what happened when they were doing the Roman thing? We saw, you know, WWE lose its like 50% of its audience over the next like half a decade.
Yeah,
Like crowds collapsed, ratings collapsed. So it's like a lot of the people who were hijacking left,
yeah,
and the people that weren't hijacking stayed.
yeah.
So then they
Whereas
just
whereas now it's
built.
like yeah, whereas now it's like yeah, they built up the crowd to be like to just do this reaction.
Yeah. So
So
now it's a whole different fan base than it was just 10 years ago.
more on Mariah thoughts here. Ricky Saints never reached the heights that Mariah did, nor did AEW have as high of an opinion of him by the end.
I would kind of disagree in the sense that I think that they tried with Ricky Starks. They really did. AEW really tried with him. The problem was, and it wasn't even his fault. It's just it felt like it was one thing after another that just like got in his way, whether it was an injury, like that broken neck with Hangman, or the stuff with Punk that kind of derailed his feud right when Punk got fired, and then they had to pivot to the Danielson, um, the tag. run that he had they got it. And so it's just like a lot of stuff with Ricky was not his fault. And I think that the amount of effort that they really, I think they really did try with Ricky Starks. They wanted him, they gave him every opportunity. He just, and it, like I said, it was a situation where it was really not his fault. It's just, fluke accidents left and right that just kind of got in his way and ruined it for him. So I think they tried. I really do think they tried. And they wanted to give him a run. It just, he just, he was had a black cloud following him.
I'm gonna give you two a hot wager and a hot take possibly here for you to react to and give me what you think about it. The hot wager is if Mariah May doesn't show up at Double or Nothing, she will be signing with WWE.
Um, I don't know that I necessarily buy that. I think that Double or Nothing is clearly going to be like the Tekla debut.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't think they're going to have Mariah come back the same night that Tekla debuts. I think that's just
I mean, they could
watering it
do a
down.
swerve essentially with it, like what if those two decide to unite together and then it's a three-headed monster of Mina, Mariah, and Tekla.
Maybe. I don't I don't think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, no, I
Um,
I think Tekla's gonna join up with
yeah,
Julia Hart and join Hounds of Hell. That's what I think is gonna happen.
yeah, we'll see. I just don't. Here's the thing. I don't think, and I think that's very likely, just given the fact that they had Julia Hart in a match that she just kind of lost this week.
Yep, and then went like she wasn't really playing heel much recently. She's been kind of facey, like
Hmm.
as far as her tweener attunement has been. But at the end of that match where she is beating up Mina and jumping her, that is very heelish work at the end of the match. That makes me indicate, oh, okay, so why are we hard like coding Julia as a heel now? You know?
Yeah, but you got Sky Blue in that mix as well.
Yeah,
So it could be a trio with those three.
yeah.
I don't know that I see Mariah in that personally.
Yeah, I think that's like either or. It's like either that is a trio or it's gonna be Mariah and Mina as a heel tag team essentially.
I
Um
mean, okay, but I don't think what happens tomorrow has any indication on
okay.
what Mariah May is going to
So
do.
so you are
That's my take.
selling you're selling on that buy or sell.
Yeah, I don't think
Okay.
like how I feel about Mariah uh, today will be no different from how I feel about Mariah on Monday if she doesn't show up.
Okay, buy or sell this hot take. Ricky Starks was the biggest victim of the Punk firing.
The biggest victim,
Biggest victim.
um, like creatively, I think I might buy that honestly. I had
Okay.
to think if I had to really think about it, it's like when you think about like who just kind of collapsed. And because like he was someone who for a long time really wasn't because he won like Punk was like his biggest backer. Like Ricky won the Owen, Ricky and by from beating Punk by the way. Um he was one of the centerpieces of Collision when Ricky wasn't really being utilized as much during that time. Um I think that he was you could argue is probably his biggest advocate.
Hmm.
And after Punk left, and after he had his dog collar match, which was fantastic, by the way, with Danielson, um, that was that was kind of it
Yeah.
for Ricky. Like that was the end of him. I mean, he popped up here and there, did a couple things, but it's like there was no more Ricky after that. So I think that's a. I think I'd agree. I think especially at least creatively. I mean, who else would there be? I don't know.
Uh How about we continue onward here with the toss-ups and get going along here. We have
Yeah, yeah. Although
Mike.
I feel like we're
Yeah.
talking about everything I wanted to talk about, like
Oh,
as we're
good.
doing this. So it feels like once we get through this, we might have talked about everything.
So we have Michael Oku up next, who he most recently appeared in the Maple Leaf Pro match, which I have not watched yet, but has gotten high praise between him, Speedball, and Gabe Kidd, who is down an unlikely tier. Um, Michael Oku appeared on the Speed vlog afterwards, and Speedball seems to be behind the scenes pushing AEW to sign Michael Oku formally.
Uh, I think he's fine in toss up right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just because we'll see what I don't really have anything else to say on him. I mean, we've talked about him to death, but it's like one of these days he'll go somewhere. And it'll probably be AEW, but not at the moment.
We have two recent releases or pending releases from WWE next: Gigi Dolan and Shayna Baszler.
Yeah, so the Priscilla Kelly is Gigi Dolan. Well, I'm sure that's what she'll go back to. She's gonna go right back to the Indies. I mean, that's clear. Maybe she'll jump to AEW if they're interested in her. I don't know that. I don't know that they will pick her up, but I think that she's gonna, she'll hit the ground running, go back to the grind, go back to, working in the, working in the bingo halls, and she'll do really well because she was one that was really starting to catch fire right before she signed,
Mm-hmm.
and which might be why she signed, got signed to WWE in the first place. But I feel very confident that she's going to end up doing all right.
We have a note here from Luke in chat saying NXT Europe may be calling Michael Oku's name. I don't think so. They're calling Luke Jacobs' name. Uh,
And,
yeah.
and it's also I don't know what's NXT Europe gonna offer.
Um, death of every other promotion in
Yeah,
Europe, and that's
but I
your
mean
only option.
financially, what are these contracts gonna look like? Because we know what those NXT UK contracts look like. I mean, is it going to be that again?
Well, the NXT UK contract was essentially a stipend level deal. Is the best way I can put it.
Yeah. So
Um,
it's like I'd like to wait and see what they're actually going to be signed. What are they offering these people before we start thinking about who's going to jump? I mean, because if it's going back, if we're going back to the hey, listen, you're going to get 35K a year. I mean, I don't know that Michael Oku is going to be jumping on board to that.
Next tier that we have is possible. They're possibly jumping. That's how you should say it.
Yeah.
Probably, possibly.
Wait, we forgot Shayna Baszler.
Oh yeah, Shayna Baszler. Yeah. I mentioned her. Did you have thoughts on Shayna Baszler?
I think that she might shine with I think I could see her AEW picking her up, honestly. I could see obviously I see her going to TNA maybe as possible. I don't think she's done.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's gonna keep doing her thing. I think she enjoys it. I think she brings a unique presentation to American women's wrestling, a presentation that is sorely needed. And I don't think she had an opportunity to really showcase that. So I think that uh, I could see her going any place. AEW wouldn't surprise me. TNA wouldn't surprise me. Uh, Going back to Stardom, I could see that surprising me because she was only there for like a month, and she just did like the Monster of the Month gimmick where eventually she lost to Io and then went home. But I think that I don't think she's done. I'll just leave it at that.
We have some more talk about NXT Europe in the chat. Speculating about the deals. Luke was saying that if it's at least like 40K a year, that people UK talent will probably jump. I disagree. I think that if any of those talent remember what happened to them when NXT UK happened, I think that talent that were around for that will not be jumping.
Well, and not only that, it's like
It's also nebulous. It's vaporware right now. It's still vaporware.
yeah, we don't know what it is, and I feel like maybe like okay, would a talent that is really not on anyone's radar in the UK that WWE is trying to build up sign a 40K deal? Yeah, maybe. Um, One that's like a kind of but like Michael Oku's not going to sign that.
No, Michael Oku's getting enough money from other bookings. Even I would say.
Yeah, it's like that would need to be unless it's going to be like you're a Pete Dunne, like a Pete Dunne situation where he like took the deal because he felt like he was such a lock to like kind of break
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
Um, and that ended up, for the most part, being accurate. I mean, you, mileage may vary on how you feel about Pete Dunne's WWE run, but hey, he's been, employed with the company for a long time. I'm sure he's making decent money now. And part of that was because, he took a risk on that NXT UK tournament and felt that, what, I'm the best one. I'm the breakout star of this. And then I'm going to do really well. I don't know if there's anyone else. I don't know if Michael Oku's thinking that. I don't think he is. I really don't think he is.
And so just to push back on chat, pushing back on me about you're putting a lot of trust in UK wrestlers not to be geeks. I would point out again that the people that WWE seems to be looking at right now are all people that came up in the UK indie scene after NXT UK. You know, like I think that what Doug just said is exactly kind of how I'm feeling about it. It's going to be a lot of younger talent that you might not even know about, like the two guys from that do WXW. I don't remember their names. I've never seen their names before. I probably have seen their names before, but I never remembered their names. It's going to be those kinds of people, and then like a little sprinkle on top of names that we do know, like a Riho, like a Luke Jacobs, like people that maybe they have done as much as they think that they can do, and they think that they could break out into America by doing this. Those are the kinds of people. I don't think that the people that have been around the block, like Karen Noir, is not going to be signing an NXT Europe deal.
Yeah, and I think that the important thing here is, and if I was gonna, and here's the thing, if I was running this company, if I was like, hey, Doug, you're booking NXT Europe, sign who you need to sign and book the shows, I'd probably just sign a bunch of no names too.
Yeah.
And I would just try to like build them up. That's the most financially efficient way to do it. It's the way to get a lot less overhead that you have to clear, especially with something like this that I'm not even sure is viable. So I'm not surprised that that's the route they're going, and that's why I don't necessarily see a Michael Oku jumping there, because I don't even know that they're necessarily going to offer him the money that not necessarily. I know that they're not going to offer him the money that they would need him to jump there.
I would also point out that people are like, well, it's a guaranteed contract and everything like that. So was the NXT UK contract, and then they reneged on those contracts.
Do you all remember how much those contracts were for? They were 20 grand
Yes.
a year.
Yep.
And if I say like 40, I mean that's like inflation come from the NXT UK era. I mean, that's basically the same thing. And yeah, some of you might say, well, you could live on 40K. Yeah, I guess, but that's these people aren't like, you know, busting
Well,
their asses and
also
working to
also
make
once
40K.
also like back then the 20K was essentially a stipend because it meant that you would show up to do NXT UK tapings and then also just wrestle as you were in anyway beforehand.
Yes.
So they were still allowed to book wherever they wanted, air quotes. Whereas now, if they do an NXT Europe, I am not so sure that that's how WWE is going to structure it this time around.
And obviously, UK is still not back to where it was during the time when NXT UK existed.
Yeah, it's not quite. I think that it's as strong as it has been in, I would say, since like 2018.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's not back. It's
Um,
not at that level.
yeah. So our possible tier are Alexander Hammerstone and Miyu Yamashita. I think that Hammerstone is a bit too high just because I think that I don't see him going anywhere right now. I think
Is Hammerstone I'm too high on my own supply kind of guy?
I think it's that, and also that he allegedly has signed with MLW, but then he will say that he hasn't signed with MLW,
Yeah.
kind of a thing. So I don't know
Maybe
about
it's a
that.
thing where he's trying to get somewhere else, but MLW wants him, so they're just saying, "Hey, we're gonna say that you signed,
Yeah,
but you really didn't."
yeah. Yamashita, someone as you were talking about earlier, She has kind of done everything that she could do in Tokyo Joshi Pro. We still hear people mentioning that AEW is high on her. So we'll see what happens with that, I guess. I mean, if they're going to be trying to stack up a women's tag division, she is easily a very helpful piece in that, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I mean, you look at what she's done. She's very clearly she does like this thing where she'll like work Tokyo Joshi Pro for uh most of the year and do the tours, and then she'll like sprinkle in like American Indies left and right. But it's notable that like the last month since let me pull up a cage match because I was looking at this the other day. Yeah, okay. Since like WrestleMania weekend, like she's not gone back to Japan.
Yeah.
She has been like she's still in the United States and she's been working US indies and Canadian indies uh every single night for the or every single weekend since then. So she's not left. Um she has uh dropped and she's also was the Hog women's she had a Hog women's title match in on May 9th in Chicago, and she did lose. She lost that to Indy Hartwell, and so she's losing a decent amount.
Yeah.
Like she lost. She was on Maple Leaf Pro. She lost to Serena Deeb. She lost to Billy Starks last weekend. So she wins here and there, but she's all. So it's not like she's like super protected either. And she also had a Princess of Princess title match on April 18th, and she lost that to Mizuki, the current champ.
Mhm.
And that was once again WrestleMania weekend. So she does seem like she's potentially ready to leave.
Yeah.
Or at least ramping up for something.
Yeah.
Especially if she's sticking around as long as she is. So I don't know. It'll and obviously she had the match with Tony Storm,
Yeah.
which is good. It was a decent match, but that's it. So it's like I don't know if AW wants her. They keep using her, and they put her on Dynamite and they showcased her, but they just it's weird with her. I don't know.
Our next tier here is the unlikely tier. You're never going to guess it. It is the opposite of the likely tier.
Mhm.
We have a boatload of names here. We can get through fairly quickly, I think. Also,
a lot of them I don't know. I don't have a lot to add.
we have AJ Styles, who we still don't know if his contract is expiring. It should be expiring soon. This might be the one Magnificent Seven member who will actually jump.
Well, it is unlikely though, unfortunately.
Yeah. We have Beth Phoenix, who people tried to will into existence her showing up in AEW.
Yeah, I don't have anything to add to that.
Gabe Kidd, who well, I think things are a little spicier now.
I do want to talk about Gabe Kidd real quick. Okay. Because obviously he showed up in AEW and now he's set up for this Anarchy in the Arena match. I don't think that this is him jumping.
Yeah.
A lot of people think like, oh, there it is, matter of time. I don't think that's what's happening here. I think that he is in this Anarchy in the Arena match, and it's going to. This is a slow. They're planting the seeds early for his eventual Forbidden Door match, and I think that's why he's in this Anarchy in the Arena match. I don't know if it's going to be Eddie Kingston showing up, and then they reignite the Eddie feud going into Forbidden Door, which I would be down with. That'd be great. I don't know if it's something with the Death Riders. You're going to have him go against Moxley and have dissension in the match. But all I know is I don't think that Gabe Kidd is leaving New Japan.
I think that the construction that's going on here is that he is not in the Anarchy and Arena match proper, right? He's not in the match proper. But he is involved.
Have they said what the match is yet?
Yes, yeah, they have.
Because I feel like they said the side. They have not said specifically who's in it.
They've said who's in it. Yeah, it's on the Mox side. It is Mox, Claudio, Yuta, Nick and Matt Jackson, and Marina Shafir. On the Good Boys side, it is Kenny, Swerve, Samoa Joe, Shibata, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Willow.
Okay. So we'll see. I mean, he'll be involved in the match, I
So,
bet.
so the reason why he's not in this match is because he will be in a different match,
Which match?
Blood and Guts, because he has experience with that kind of match now. He has done two essentially War Games matches in New Japan. So he has experience doing those matches. He has ready-made feud with Kenneth Omega to try to get a win back from him. Now, of course, Kenny has a certain title on his belt, so he might not be the person that he would face at Forbidden Door. Possible that it could be Kenny Omega, possible that it could be Eddie Kingston, but it is a way for them to put him into a marquee match in AEW and then set him up on a road towards Forbidden Door.
That's very possible.
Because
They could do.
the Blood and Guts match will probably be Osprey, Hangman, Swerve, Kenny, and maybe Samoa Joe or maybe Eddie Kingston versus the Mox team, and it will be like it will essentially like act as like a road to All In super tag match, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where they'll throw young Gabriel Kidd in to wrestle. I don't think that it's going to be Hook, because that would be a letdown. I think if it was Gabe Kidd versus Hook in London,
Yeah.
I think it'll be Kenny 2 or it'll be Eddie. Those are my hot. It could be Mox if they have the dissension kind of a thing going on, as part of their storyline. Could be Okada, you know. Maybe that's the way. Maybe that's the time that Okada puts somebody over from New Japan, is by putting over Gabe Kidd in Gabe Kidd's home country, you know.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. But yeah.
So the rest on this list, I don't really have anyone else that really talk about. Maybe a couple things, but like Leon Slater's next. I don't really have anything to add.
Yeah.
Persephone, I think she's still injured. I don't have anything to add.
Yeah.
Soraya, I feel like we talked about Soraya.
I think that she's loving life as a podcaster and is not going to sign anywhere for a while.
Yes. Nakamura, I don't know. I don't know when his contract's up.
Yeah.
And when we get an idea of that, then I think it'll be an interesting discussion. He might be, maybe he'll be done by Forbidden Door. Maybe it'll be right after Forbidden Door. I don't know. We'll see. And then Sari, we talked about a little bit, but I think that she's obviously the biggest free agent in women's wrestling in Japan, at least at the moment. And I think that I think she's going to stay a free agent.
Then down in the remote tier, there's a remote chances, very slim chance that these people are going, not the slimmest of chances, enough of a chance that we're going to put them on our tracker. We have Utami Hayashishita, who we talked about a little bit earlier. Nixon Newell, who it seems like she is just going to be doing some freelance, and that's about to be it. Sami Zayn, who we still have not gotten confirmation that he is re-signed, although he has reappeared in WWE TV. Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, similar thing. We haven't gotten confirmation that they have re-signed, but they are, I think they're currently tag champs. Yeah. But no indication that they've actually re-signed, no indication about when their contracts will expire. They should have expired by now, but it's possible they've had injury time.
Mm-hmm.
Matt Cardona, who is King of the Indies still and forever King of the Indies, I feel like he is staying as such. And Samantha Irvin is also there.
I don't have much to say on any of these people other than I don't think that they're going anywhere. I think Utami, as we said earlier, I think a lot of people thought there's a chance that you'd transition over to WWE. I don't necessarily think that's necessarily the case. I think that she's going to continue just marigolding in the golden fields of marigold. Nixon Newell is going to keep being a freelancer. I don't see anyone signing her. Sami Zayn, I don't think he's going anywhere.
Yeah, we have a comment about Sami in the chat of he is tagging with CM Punk tonight. Fade him. He could die tonight. We'll find out.
Yes.
I think that would be a great way to get over Braun Breaker and Seth Rollins as a heel tag team or a heel unit that you're not supposed to cheer for is to kill Sami Zayn, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
I don't have any additional thoughts on any of these people.
Yeah. Well then, if is there anything else you want to talk about? To quote the late great Cody Rhodes.
I think we're okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Cody. But I think we're all right. I think we discussed everything we need to discuss.
Yeah. I like Cody,
Um,
so
yeah.
yeah.
Thank you for helping us, Cody.
Yeah. Finally.
So with that, we'll move on to the next slide, and that's just our
Yeah.
where you can follow us. We're on wrestlewatch.substack.com. That's where we do our long form writing. You could also find our podcast links on there. Subscribe, nominate us, please. Use the QR code you see on the screen. But if there's nothing else, I am Doug.
And I'm Ryan. Rest in peace, Cody Rhodes. Yeah. He's still here with us, but is he?
R.I.P. brother.
All right, everybody. Have a good rest of your Memorial Day weekend. And yeah, it's going to be a packed weekend of wrestling. Hope you all